Hey guys, Shauna here. Welcome back to my channel. I am here with you guys today to talk about Charlie's 3-month update. Well, 0 to 3 month update since I haven't done an update yet. But he is 3 months old today. Today is June 6th and I couldn't be happier. These last 3 months have been the best months of my life. I love being his mom and he is an amazing little guy. So I have a couple quick categories I want to talk to you guys about. The first is sleeping, because he doesn't sleep. Hardly at all anyways. He is a very aware and awake and alert baby. I've had lots of comments from doctors, nurses, family, friends, other people who have kids, and they just keep telling me how alert he is. And he is. He's just, from day one, he's been a very awake baby. They told me right after he was born that the first hour was really important to do that skin to skin and the bonding, because after that he'd fall asleep. And then he never fell asleep. He was awake until 7 a.m. that first day, and he was born at 11:51 p.m. And that's kind of been how he's been ever since. He doesn't nap very well. He never has. At most he'll take maybe one 40-minute nap during the day. Besides that, it's mostly like 5-10 minute naps here and there, no matter what I do, no matter how hard I try. I've tried scheduling, I've tried swaddling him, I've everything. At night, he does sleep for chunks of time now. Just within the last 2 weeks, it got to where he's sleeping for a 6-hour chunk at the beginning of the night and then like a 2 to 3 hour chunk after I feed him. And that's been great. I do swaddle him now. I started that around 2 weeks old. And that's been helping. We are just starting to finally try to get him out of the swaddle. So right now he's sleeping with one arm out and one arm in with the swaddling. And so far so good. We've been doing that for 2 nights. And so far that's working. He does have a pacifier. Did not want to give him a pacifier, but after about 2 weeks of him only sleeping on my breast, I realized I was going to have to give him a pacifier. So he does take a pacifier. Like I said, for the first 2 weeks, he wouldn't sleep anywhere but on me while he was nursing, and so that's what we did for the first 2 weeks. I am still co-sleeping, so the first chunk of the night, he will sleep in a rock and play, which took me about a month before I got him to do that. He'll sleep in the rock and play at first, but then once I bring him to bed to feed him, usually we both just fall right back asleep, and so he just stays in bed with me. I know a lot of you guys are gonna freak out, but people have been co-sleeping for hundreds of years, and I'm a really light sleeper. I wake up to anything, so I'm not worried about it. And it's been working for us. I am slowly starting to try to get him out of the bed though. Like I said, he does sleep in the rock and play now for the first chunk, and I think this week I might start trying to put him in his crib for that first chunk. He does sleep with a sound machine on, which I need it too, so whatever. And besides that, at night at least, he's sleeping pretty decent. Like I said, during the day, he doesn't really sleep. He doesn't take naps. Even at daycare, they've pointed out, like, he just doesn't want to sleep, but he's not like overly cranky or anything. He just doesn't like to sleep. It's almost like he's afraid he'll miss something. But so that's it for the sleeping. Eating. So you guys, breastfeeding is hard. It's hard. They say when you have a traumatic delivery or an induced delivery, when the baby didn't just come on its own, that breastfeeding is harder. And that is definitely the case for me. If you haven't seen my labor and delivery story, I'll link it in the cards. Definitely go check it out. I ended up having to have an emergency C-section after being induced. And so my body wasn't like going through like the normal, like, we're ready to have this baby motion. So breastfeeding was not easy. He did latch right away at first, which was awesome. But then I ended up having a lot of swelling because they had been pumping me so full of IV fluids because of everything, that my nipples were actually swollen and stopping the colostrum from coming out. So we ended up having to use a nipple shield pretty early on. I think day 2 or 3, and like when I was still in the hospital, I ended up starting to use a nipple shield because I was so swollen that he wasn't able to latch. And like when he was sucking, it was actually pulling all the fluid that was in my body like to the front of my nipple. Long story. Anyways, I did start using a nipple shield. Those first couple of weeks, he basically was eating 24/7 because I wasn't producing enough. But I was producing enough to make him grow, like to get him growing. Like the doctor and my lactation consultant and everything, where everyone was watching it to make sure he was getting enough. Oh, and I meant to say, 3 months now he's been exclusively breastfed, which is amazing to me, and I'm extremely proud of, because it was a lot of work. I was pumping, I was doing anything I could to try to build up my supply. I am taking fenugreek. I am taking another herb called Mother's Milk Special Blend Plus or something. I don't know, it has like goat's rue and other stuff in it. I am eating lactation cookies that have brewer's yeast and flaxseed and oats in them. I am pumping all the time. I pump, now that I'm back at work, I pump at least every 2 hours. I usually try to do about an hour and a half. I pump at night when he's asleep. I pump in the morning when he's eating on one side. I'll pump on the other and then switch them. I pump all the time. And let me tell you, pumping sucks. But so milk was hard there at first, and he basically just wanted to be on me all the time, and that was fine. Now when we're together, he'll only still go about 45 minutes to an hour without eating, and then he'll want to feed again. When he's drinking bottles though, he will go for like 2-hour chunks in between eating. Sometimes even more than that. But I think it's just he gets more from a bottle than he does from breastfeeding, which is actually normal. So I am having trouble keeping up with him though. He, at daycare now, he drinks about 20 ounces a day at daycare. And I'm only pumping about 14 while I'm at work. And so I'm having to make that up at night. The rest of it I'm pumping after he goes to sleep usually. So it's hard. Breastfeeding has been a struggle. I'm still struggling. Luckily, my mother is a lactation consultant, so she's been right there with me this whole time, helping me out. But it's been rough. It's been really, really rough and stressful and hard, and it's been hard. Let's just put it that way. It's been rough. But I did make it 3 months with him exclusively breastfed. The next goal is to make it 6 months with him exclusively breastfed, and then hopefully I'll be able to start giving him solid foods and it'll get a little bit easier, hopefully. So, but I have also started looking at formula and seeing if I may need to start supplementing, just because we are running through the milk that I can pump pretty quickly while I'm at daycare now. It's been 2 weeks and my little supply that I had in the freezer is already starting to dwindle down. So I have looked into that, and I'm keeping with my lactation consultant, aka my mom, and my doctor about if and when that time comes that I'll need to start supplementing with formula to make sure I'm doing that correctly. But he likes to eat. He eats all the time, but he's not gaining very much weight very quickly. I think because I am having trouble with my milk supply, because my milk has never just like fully come in. Like I've never been engorged. It's never come in that much. So mom brain, completely forgot what I was saying. But anyways, so completely forgot what I was saying. Anyway, so that's feeding. He likes to eat. He's a pretty happy baby. He's pretty content for most of the day. He started smiling at 3 weeks old, which was awesome. I'm gonna do, after this video, I'm gonna do a video of just a whole bunch of videos that I've taken of him over the last 3 months, just kind of put together. So keep an eye out for that, and you'll see in there will be the video of him smiling at me for the first time. He had been smiling in his sleep since he was born, but then he started smiling at me, and that was awesome. And for a long time, I was the only one that could get him to smile, which, you know, makes you feel good. Now he smiles at everybody. I actually was telling my mom yesterday that whenever I take him to daycare in the mornings, the last like 4 or 5 days, as soon as he sees his teacher, he gives her this big grin. And I was like, I told my mom, I was like, I don't know if I'm happy or sad about that. Like, on one hand, I'm happy he's happy to see her, but at the same time, I miss when it was just me that could make him smile like that. But she was like, let it be a good thing, Shauna. You know, you're having hard enough time having to take him to daycare. Let this be a good thing. And I was like, okay, you're right. It's a good thing he likes his teacher. But so he's a very happy and grainy baby. Smiles all the time. And like I mentioned, he is awake all the time, so that's fun. He doesn't like being put down though. He does not like devices, so he'll sleep in the rock and play, but he doesn't want to be in it when he's awake. He will be in a swing for 5 minutes here and there, but he's not a huge fan of it. And then we have one of those like bouncers, and he will hang out on that for maybe 5 minutes as well, like while we're eating real quick. But again, he just doesn't like being in devices. One thing we have just recently started putting him in though is a jumper, like one of the ones with like all the toys are on it. There'll be a video in the next video with of him in it jumping. He loves that thing, but still he only lasts about 5 to 10 minutes. He just doesn't like being put down. He likes to be held. He's a very cuddly baby. From day one though, he did not like being held like a baby, like cradled. He wanted to be held like over your shoulder where he could look around. And so that made him get really good neck control really quick. So he hates tummy time, which I think all babies do at first. But he has really good neck control because I've always carried him like over my shoulder. And so he's always been able to like lift his head up. And so he has really good neck control, and just he's really stable. He loves to, like, if you hold him and like set him on a table or the ground or something and let him stand, he loves to stand with his own weight, and he just loves to bounce, and I don't know, he's just a really happy baby. He loves bath time, loves it. Daddy does bath time with him every night and they have a blast. He likes kicking in the water. We started swimming lessons with him last week, which I know a lot of you are going to say 3 months is too young, but I was always really scared of water when I was a kid, so I want to make sure he's not. So we started swimming lessons with him last week and he had a blast. It was a 30-minute session and he was great for like the first 25-ish minutes, and then the last little bit he got a little cranky, but I think he was trying to get cold. He liked splashing in it, and they were practicing like floating, and of course with someone holding him, but it was fun. He loved it. And he loves his grandma and his nana and his aunts, his auntie and his uncle. He likes our puppies. We have puppies and he's just starting to notice them, and like he'll watch them walking around the room and look at them, and that's been really fun to just watch him finally like noticing them, because I don't think at first he really noticed at all, and so that's been interesting. He's growing up so quick. He's starting to lose his hair, which I know a lot of babies lose the hair they were born with at some point, but he was born with a pretty good amount of hair, not a ton, but pretty good amount of brown hair, and it's just starting to all fall out, and there's some blonde coming in, so you can, if you really look, you can see the blonde that's coming in, but from a distance you can't see it, so it just looks like he's going bald, which is funny looking. Oh, weight gain, that's where I was at when I was talking about feeding. So weight gain, he was born 7 pounds 3 ounces. He's weighing just a little bit over 11 now. I have a baby scale at home, so I weigh him. Because I was having problems with my milk, we started weighing him every week, and he was doing really good, gaining somewhere between 4 to 8 ounces a week up until about 3 weeks ago when it slowed down a little bit. I think though, because that's about the time he started daycare, and I think it's the stress, and so I'm hoping once he kind of like we get in a rhythm and things get going, it'll start to even out again. My doctor and my lactation consultant say just a couple weeks of little to no weight gain isn't something to worry about, but if it gets to be any longer, we need to start figuring out why and doing something about it. So he is at 11 pounds now, which is still tiny considering they thought he was going to be a 9-pound baby when he was born. He's only at 11 pounds at 3 months old, and that's small. But hopefully he'll go through a growth spurt here pretty soon. And yeah, anyways, that is all on my Charlie update. Stay tuned for a video of just a bunch of videos of him since he was born. I have tons of them, so I'm going to put a bunch of those together so you guys can kind of see him and see his personality. But besides that, I am going to do a separate video about my postpartum update, like from 0 to 3 months, and let you guys know just how I'm doing in that video. But if I did it all in this video, that would be way too long, so I'm just going to cut this one off here, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and turn on your bell notification so you can get notified with those videos coming up. Bye guys.